And welcome back to Entertainment Thursday. My name is Mike Megwe, and as earlier promised, we are joined in studio by Cooper Rust, who is the artistic director at Dance Center Kenya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Now we'll get right into it. What is the inspiration behind Shujaa stories?
The main inspiration is the Shujaa, the heroes.
Yes.
And the excitement is to mix the Kenyan heroes and Kenyan culture with classical ballet. And so it's a real fusion of two beautiful things coming together. We've been doing ballet here in Kenya for about 10 years.
Wow.
And now, but it was time to do something with some Kenyan flavor.
Yes. So what made you choose ballet dance as a way to tell and celebrate the stories of Kenyan heroes?
Ballet is what I've done since I was 2 years old. I've done ballet my whole life, and I trained in the States and then was a professional dancer there for 10 years before coming here and starting a ballet school. So it was really what took so long to realize that what we needed to do was a Kenyan ballet. It's been great doing Cinderella and the Nutcracker every year at Christmas, and all of that's wonderful. But there's so many amazing Kenyan ballet dancers now, and they shouldn't be stuck just doing European stories. We can also do tell a story, a few Kenyan stories through ballet as well.
What are the fundamental elements in storytelling when in the context of ballet?
So that's what's a little bit different about this ballet.
Yes.
Generally in ballet, the entire story is told through movement. So there's no talking at all. It's not like a play or an opera with singing or something like that. It's all through movement. So if you want to say like, I love you, that you would do it with your arms, not with your mouth. But with this particular ballet, we want to make it a real educational experience. And that's hard for some younger audience members to sit for an hour and a half without speaking. So what we've done is we've included a bunch of narrators to tell the story. For about 2 minutes, they'll tell the story of one of the heroes, and then the dancers will perform it. So that makes it a lot easier to sit through for little people, because they get to hear what they're seeing first. And we've got incredible narrators coming in. We've got Honorable Tim Wanyoni from Westlands. We've got Eric Wainaina, music legend that we all love. We've got Orungu coming from Amnesty International. We have some great voices coming in to help the young people be able to understand the ballet. So that really makes a big difference.
Storytelling involves a lot of things, and imagery is one of them. So let's say, how does a 3-minute event develop to a 30-minute story that does not bore the audience and is still captivating?
I actually think it makes it a bit more captivating, especially for a younger audience. When you have the story of a warrior, you don't need to do every single battle. With dance, you're getting the essence of that powerful man or woman who fought for freedom or wrote poetry, and that's really the essence of the character. The story, but saying the story is what makes it really clear what the story was.
Let's talk about the lessons that Shujaa stories and celebrating Kenya through ballet that the audience are going to derive from the show.
Well, I think a lot of these stories are really inspiring. And one of the things that I find the most powerful is that the Shujaa, we're working with Tuzi Limited, who created the illustrations and created Shujaa, which is amazing. I love that all of the heroes come from such different backgrounds. There's so many tribes represented, and there's so many types of people represented. Poets are heroes. Warriors are heroes. People from agricultural areas are heroes. Everyone is celebrated through the Shujaa. And so I think that's a lesson, is that it's not just your typical superhero, but they're heroes from all different backgrounds that are to be celebrated through Shujaa stories.
When we talk about Shujaa stories, we are talking about stories stories that concern people like Wangwa Makeri, Luanda Magere. What considerations went into choosing these stories?
There's 60 Shujaas in total that have been illustrated through Tuzi Limited. And to be honest, these are our first 12. We've picked 12 to start with, and we're hoping to make this a series and get all the way through all of them over the next few years. So this was just a start, and we picked stories that really worked well with dance to start with. A little bit, some of them are a little bit more war oriented and things like that. So we picked some peaceful stories. Another interesting thing about this is that I am not the choreographer. I'm directing. But like I said, this is a very educational tool. So we have younger choreographers. Our youngest members of the company are the ones performing the lead roles. And then our older company members, the 16, 17, 18-year-olds, are the choreographers.
Yes.
So we also wanted to pick stories that were a little bit easier for them to work with.
Yes. Now, how does the involvement of narrators help in creating the interest or fascination when it comes to the audience? How do narrators, what role do they play in telling these stories?
I think they have two roles.
Yes.
First, before the show, having these very prominent Kenyans come in to tell the stories says that it's important.
Yes.
Art is important, dance is important, and these heroes are important. We need to know these stories. Then once the show starts, it just makes it clear what you're watching. There are children performing, so it's not it's not a profession. They're not professionals. They're still learning. So having a narrator to explain what you're seeing just makes it a little bit more clear.
Yes. There's a person who is watching right now, and he or she has heard ballet for the first time. What is ballet dancing? How would you explain it to them?
Ballet is a type of dance that was started way back in the 1700s. It kind of started even earlier than that with court dance in Italy, and then made its way to France. Then in the 1800s, in the 1840s, dancers started dancing on their toes. So a lot of people might not know ballet, but they've seen the dancers that stand up on their toes, and that's what ballet is. That the women stand on their toes, and the men do a lot of partnering. So the men are doing big lifts of the women, the men are doing huge leaps. So it's a classical art form. Then it traveled a lot in the 20th century to America. South Africa has 2 professional ballet companies, Australia. But slowly, it's made its way to Kenya. And now there's quite a few schools, including Dance Center Kenya.
Talk about the reception now in Kenya when it comes to ballet. How has it been received so far?
When I started my school back in 2015, I'm going to be honest, we were primarily expats and sponsored students. There were children on scholarship, and then a bunch of people coming from the UN or the embassies.
Yes.
But now our school is 80% local. So these are kids from here, plus an international community. But it's really evolved over the last 10 years to turn into this this thing that everybody enjoys.
So what inspired Dance Center Kenya to take up stories of Kenya's heroes and translate them into a production that is captivating, and it's telling stories that some of the young generations may not have an idea of what they are?
I wanted to do, in the past years for our junior company production, we'd done Mother Goose and Aesop's Fables and these Western stories, and it almost seemed inappropriate not to step in and do some Kenyan stories. I think it's really important. And so I started researching and very quickly came across the Shuja. And they're becoming more popular because of these comics. So kids are starting to know who they are, and we just want to emphasize that that's important and help reinforce it. And plus, it's perfect happening this weekend with Huduma Day. We've got performances on Sunday and Tuesday, so if everybody's off of school, what better way to learn and do something fun than come to the ballet, but also learn some Kenyan culture.
Thank you. We are going to take a short break. We'll be back with more. And welcome back to Entertainment Thursday on Good Morning Kenya. Now, before we went on a break, we were talking with Kuparas, who is the artistic director at Dance Center Kenya. And we continue with the conversation. Tell us about the music that is involved in the entire Shujaa stories that you are going to tell.
This is very exciting. For the first time in my career, we have had a brand new score written just for this ballet. So this music has never been heard before, and we're working with composer Andrew Tumbo, who is he's a local hero. Everybody has heard his music, and he's brought together 5 of his friends, 5 musicians, to come and play these new 14 pieces of music. So the audience will be able to see the music being played live right next to the dancers who will be dancing. And it's really exciting because he took the essence of each of these heroes and picked which instruments he wanted to match with them and what vibe he feels for them, and even worked with the choreographers when they said, this bit's a little bit too long, this bit's a little bit too short, can this be a little bit faster? And he was able to mold this music just for us. So it's very exciting.
Now, in the entire production, there is the aspect of costume. How are you going to incorporate that to ensure that you tell authentic stories using the right costumes?
This was one of the first considerations. Being American, I was very concerned about not having the right materials with the right tribes and the right stories, and so we quickly called our friends over at Bomas of Kenya, who have these beautiful productions and all these incredible costumes, and I talked to them, and it's their wardrobe department who has come over to create all new costumes. Their wardrobe is for adults, so they had to shrink their costumes, and they made us all new costumes, and some of it is so incredible. They've done all the hand bead work, like authentic, what it's supposed to be. Some of the headdresses we're borrowing straight from Bomas, huge feathers, and it's one of my favorite parts of the show is how we really tried to keep it authentic and get it right.
Let's talk about the challenges that you faced in translating these stories into a production. What challenges did you face along the way?
Well, a lot of the challenges were a bit more logistical because we are working with younger choreographers. Talking to them about things like not telling the story in the first 1 minute or not running out of music, but planning, like it's kind of like writing an essay. You need a beginning and a middle and an end, and if it's supposed to be 5 pages, you can't accidentally write 25 pages or just 1 paragraph. Yes. You need to make it filled in. And also with the younger dancers, they usually are in the back for the Nutcracker, and for the big productions, they're little mice or something. Now they have to express an entire story on their own at 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
So they'll be on the center of the stage trying to look like a warrior or dance like a pro, and so it's just getting them to that level and that confidence.
Wow. What are the opportunities that are there when it comes to Shujaa stories and the way you are telling these hero stories and celebrating the Kenyan heroes through ballet?
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunity to showcase a lot of different art forms like we've discussed. We have a brand new big illustration that will be the backdrop. So we have visual art, we've got the costumings also, then the music, and we also have then the dance as well. So there's all of these different parts and pieces. On top of that, it's this educational experience with the younger audience members, the younger dancers, the younger choreographers, and even I have 2 gap year students, Watiri Nduba and Joy Gatanga, who are acting as assistant directors. So even our directors are learning as they go right now.
Let's talk about the narrators again. What aspect are they bringing adding into the depth, additional depth of story of the heroes that are involved?
These narrators are, well, they're not older, but they're adults that have grown up in Kenya, and so I think they know these characters quite well, and are able, while they're telling the story, also to emphasize how important these people are and to our history and to our culture here, and also just make it a little bit more exciting. They're fun. They're a fun group of people who are volunteering their time because they really want the kids to hear these stories.
Because they have to also be present during rehearsals. Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's fun to have them in the studio, though. Yes. It's great.
Now, I'd love to know how the involvement of these narrators helped in raising awareness concerning these stories. They've been sharing this on the posters and the information on their social media, and Honorable Wanyoni, his show is sold out almost. Wow.
So he has really pushed this. It's very funny. I think his daughter bought 11 tickets the day they went on sale because she wanted all of her friends to be there, which I just think it really shows that these are people that care both about the arts and about the Kenyan culture and the Kenyan stories.
Yes.
So they're spreading the word, and they're trying to help us get the theaters sold out, which is fantastic.
What is the one thing that you hope that the audience will get from attending the Shujaa Stories concert?
Oh, there's so many things I hope, but I guess I hope that everyone leaves with the need to be brave and to do something big, whether it's to perform on stage like they see these young people do, or to do an incredible act like they hear about the Shujaa heroes having done. Yes. Just to go out there and do something big be inspired.
So how long, like a person like me, how long would it take a person like me to learn ballet and become a professional?
Well, I hate to say this, but you certainly could learn to do ballet, and we have adult ballet classes at the Dance Center. We would love for you tomorrow morning, actually, if you're not busy on the show. We have an adult ballet class at 9:30 every Friday morning at Lavington that I teach.
Wow.
But to become a professional, you might have missed the boat there, Mike. I hate to say it, but usually we start training when we're between 3 and 6 years old.
Yes.
If you want to go to a professional level. With men training, though, you can start a little bit later, like 10 or 11, maybe 12 or 13.
Does it involve workout?
There's a lot of working out.
Wow.
The ballerinas look really small, or some of them, not all ballerinas, but the men, the lifting, it takes some guns. Yeah.
So, is there a specific diet that one has to adhere to when we want to become a ballerina?
That's really changing. It used to be the perception that everybody needed to have a certain look. We don't adhere to that at all. But the diet needs to be healthy because you have to be strong. So it's less about being skinny or anything like that. It's more about being able to work at an athletic level, because these people that they do these incredible movements, and you have to be very strong. So you need to get your protein in, have a salad every once in a while, hold off on simple carbs.
Yeah. So tell us, the concert, where and when is it happening?
It will be at Braeburn Gatonga Theater. That's just over in Lavington, off of James Gachuru. You can get your tickets on kenyabuzz.com. Very easy to find. Just look up Shujaa Stories on Kenya Buzz. It's also on their slide. And they have a new ticketing system that works brilliantly. Takes just a minute. We've got 2 shows on Sunday. We actually have 3 shows on Sunday, but the first show, we've got 300 kids coming from Kawangware to get the first show in, and we're super excited to welcome those guys. After that show, we'll have 2 shows Sunday afternoon and 3 shows on Tuesday. Nobody has school. They need to be coming to see Shujaa to celebrate Huduma Day.
So this show is specifically about Kenya Shujaas. As artistic director, have you ever thought of venturing into other East African countries and telling such stories?
I love that idea. We should make that happen. A little bit of our problem is I always work with children, and they're in school. So it's a little bit harder to tour versus when you're working with professionals and their job is to dance. For these dancers, their schools get a little bit upset during KCSEs, KCPs when I'm taking them out. But no, it would certainly be something I'd be interested in. We should try to get these stories out there. They're incredible stories.
When it comes to storytelling, you don't just choose anyone to tell a story. You need someone who can create a vivid image of a story to the audience. Now, what went into choosing the likes of Tim Wanyonyi and Irungu as narrators for the story, Shujaa stories?
I've seen all of these people speak before, and they're inspiring. They're very clear. They're used to this. It would be a bit difficult to have a narrator who this is their first time public speaking.
Yes.
The children are a little. We don't know how they'll do. I mean, we know they'll do very well, but they're kind of a little bit less certain.
Yes.
But these are, seasoned professionals at speaking in public engagements.
Before we close the show, would you show us one ballerina move, or you're not?
A ballerina move? I have on the wrong clothes today, but I definitely think you should come if you want to see classical ballet in its purest form.
Yes.
The Nutcracker at the National Theater that'll be happening at the end of November, beginning of December. That's where you can really get your clear picture of ballet, and maybe at some point I'll come in a different costume and do a little ballet for you.
So that is
that's the final bow. That's your curtsy for women. Women are going to curtsy. Men will take a nice bow.
Oh, like this.
Yes. And I would curtsy to you. Thank you, sir.
So
you've got it.
Yes.
You've nailed it.
So let me do this. Thank you for gracing our show on Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you for having me.
We have been talking to Cooper Hurst, who is the artistic director at Dance Kenya, and she's inviting everyone to let me call it a concert. It's dubbed Shujaa Stories, celebrating Kenya through ballet. This has been very informative. Welcome, and we'd love to have you again, and so that you come and show us 1, 2, 3 moves of ballerina.
I'll be here. Can't wait.
Good Morning Kenya takes a short break. We'll be right back.